to Speaker John Boehner. Of course, the Speaker is Speaker of the United States House of Representatives because of the Tea Party. And one of the basic tenets of the Tea Party, both the modern day and the original Tea Party, is that the central federal government should do the things that it is elected to do and not intrude on the rights of local governments, right? And so that's what we're hearing from the modern day Tea Party. But within the first month of the Tea Party being here in Washington, D.C., and Speaker John Boehner being Speaker, what he's done is to extend the role of the federal government, to try to federalize local D.C. policy by trying to impose their will on the rights of D.C. residents, by saying that you can't spend your own local money to save people from the spread of AIDS in Washington, D.C., that you can't spend your own money to protect the reproductive rights and provide reproductive health care for local women. And they, after trying to get those things, are going to try to wipe away gun laws in Washington, D.C., despite the fact that a congresswoman was shot in Arizona. So they want to create an OK Corral in Washington, D.C. And so we're here today, this morning, to both spread this word that we're here for democracy and not hypocrisy. Yeah. We want to deliver a letter to Speaker Boehner from our coalition partners, signed by over 60 somewhat coalition partners that we're going to get when the second wave of people come. But until that happens, let me just share with you some of the hypocrisy of our Speaker, John Boehner. So, in his first speech as Speaker of the House, John Boehner invoked the spirit of our Constitution, calling the legislative chamber the People's House, one that respects individual liberty and bows before the public it serves. But he denied the right of tax-paying citizens in the District of Columbia to have a voting representative in Congress, and offers no path to right this historic wrong. Is that democracy?
No.
Or is that hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy.
I believe it's hypocrisy. John Boehner said, "Our aim will be to give government back to the people, but by redefining the local District of Columbia funds as federal funds in H.R. 3, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, the new Congress is overstepping its boundaries and defunding reproductive rights that our local district government has voted to allow." Is that democracy?
No.
Or is that hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy.
John Boehner said what they want is a government that is honest, accountable, and responsive to their needs, they being the people of the United States. The new continuing resolution, which will be voted on this morning and this afternoon, to fund the federal government will prohibit AIDS prevention programs critical to stopping the spread of the D.C. AIDS epidemic. It's an epidemic in Washington, D.C. By far the highest infection rate in the nation, due in part to previous congressional bans on prevention programs. So in other words, we have the highest AIDS rate in the country. Why? Because Congress wouldn't let the district implement an AIDS prevention program. Is that democracy?
No.
Or is that hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy.
John Boehner said, "I believe that we should always listen to those who are crying out for freedom, crying out for democracy. Hear us, John Boehner." But the cries of D.C. residents and their elected mayor, Vincent Gray, have fallen on deaf ears. Speaker Boehner has used the power of his office to deny D.C.'s delegate a vote in the Committee of the Whole.
Boo.
And denied the legitimacy of the district's locally elected lawmakers. Is that democracy?
No.
Or is that hypocrisy?
Hypocrisy.
But we want what?
Democracy.
Not
hypocrisy.
we want
democracy.
Not
Hypocrisy.
we want
Democracy.
not
Hypocrisy.
we want
Democracy.
not
Hypocrisy.
That's right. And so that's why we're here, to give Speaker Boehner a wake-up call, to ensure that he understands that citizens, American citizens in the nation's capital, are like American citizens in where? Ohio. We have our own elected local officials, our own elected mayor, D.C. Council. We don't need someone from Ohio coming to our house telling us what to do with our money, right?
Right.
Now, it's ironic that Speaker Boehner lives here in Washington, D.C. I wonder what services he uses here.
DC services.
And if he's trying to be the district's mayor, maybe we ought to come to him with some of the district's problems, right?
That's right.
Maybe we should give people his home address. And maybe people should deliver their garbage here. Maybe he wants to take away people's garbage and trash. That's an idea.
I'll give you some garbage.
So why don't we, at this point, get a nice little march going on here in front of Speaker Boehner's house, and we'll deliver a letter to him a little bit later. So let's start that march right